Are you looking for something affordable, unique, and fun to give away in your merch orders or at your shows? Look no further. Hit me up today to order 1-inch buttons for your band, label, or other project. High quality metal pin back buttons for your friends and fans' battle jackets, messenger bags, and guitar straps. $33 for 100 buttons shipped in the USA. Message me on IG at Everything Remade to get started. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine. You can go there to read all the zines we've done, get music sneak peeks, and more. Patreon.com/humanmachine. And now, I'd like to play something for you. You're hearing Rain Shadow by Sonagi, featuring my pal Eric Mauro on guitar. The song comes from their forthcoming 7-inch on Secret Voice Records soon. Catch them on tour as well.
I think I was like 10 or 11. I got Nimrod by Green Day, and that kind of like opened the door of just like, oh, like this is like something that maybe I can also like get my foot in the door in, you know, like I could like play something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you think that like even then you could sort of you could tell that what the guitars or whatever were doing were like accessible? It wasn't because it wasn't like Slash like guitar solos and all that.
I don't know if it was like necessarily that or if it was just something that I really wanted to do. I think at that point, I think I was like, oh, that looks like fun. Like I remember like being obsessed with that band. And like in the I think like a couple years later after like that record came out, there was like a live at I think like Roseland Ballroom video that was posted online, and this is like early internet, so like this was like 2001, and like I remember just like watching that over and over again, and like how fun like that seemed to be in a band like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you think being in a band, like I know it's hard to imagine what your brain was doing at that time, but like how did you think being in a band, like what did you think that looked like prior to that?
I mean, like I had like a rough like idea of what it was for people to get together and play music because my dad plays the drums, and he would get together with his friends and play, and like they would do like they would play like the Sussex County Fair like once a year, and like so I kind of had like an idea of like how rehearsals would go and like, you know, what people did and like how they would like talk in between songs and like when they would practice and like be like, oh no, it's more like this, you know. So like I had like a working idea of how those things already started, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess it was like it was already kind of like presented to me in a way.
So
Of
that
people
kind
just
of
getting together in a room and playing music.
that part of it maybe kind of seemed like that was like the work part, or
Mm-hmm.
like the and then Green Day, that's like the fun part because you were introduced to like the ethic, like this is how this happens. But
Mm-hmm.
you had maybe to that point had not seen like, whoa, like no, this is like there's an energy to this as well, and not just like the formula of like arranging things.
Yeah, like there was a like I'm seeing what my dad's doing and I'm seeing what bigger bands and stuff were doing and I'm like I want to do that
Right.
essentially. And then uh it like I think like that just morphed over time into what was like achievable or like what those things were actually like um in like in the terms of like DIY and like community and um playing shows. You know.
So was guitar the first instrument that you picked up, or did you like do other things like in elementary school or anything like that?
So the first instrument I tried to pick up was the drums, but we lived in a row home. So like it was really like impossible to have like an acoustic instrument that was that loud in like sharing like paper thin walls with people, and we really didn't have the space to set up like a kit. Whenever my dad played, he would like bring his kit to somebody's house, so they had a kit for him to play, and like all of his drums were like in the corner in the basement until like he was able to take them out and use them. So like I had like a little practice pad and like I joined the school band and I was playing drums and then one of my dad's friends I think lent us like an acoustic guitar and I started learning on that and it was like the action was like an inch off the fretboard. It was like impossible to play. It was just like it was abysmal and like I think my first thoughts were trying to play it was just like this is impossible. How does anybody has anyone play guitar like
Yeah.
you know because I was like I don't get it and then they got me like a Stratocaster knockoff starter pack kind of thing by some no name brand and that's when like I started taking lessons and things started really kind of taking off for
Yeah.
me as like learning to do things and falling down this rabbit hole that is music.
Yeah. I
You know.
think I feel like a lot of people have that experience, like whether it's an acoustic, it's usually an acoustic, I think, or just like their
Mm-hmm.
first guitar in general, where it's like you're like, how strong do your hands have to be? This is ridiculous. Like it's just like you're like crushing your fingers down on the fretboard to make
Yeah.
anything happen, and then when you get a halfway decent guitar, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
it
It's
wasn't just
literally like
me.
punishing yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, did you feel like the guitar just made a lot more sense to you right away, or?
I think it I think like me idolizing people who play guitar made me want to do it more. Like I really did like playing the drums. I am just like I'm terrible with like that kind of coordination. So like my foot would either just like go or it wouldn't go, you know? And I'm still kind of like that. Like I can play like a basic beat, but like I can't play it for more than a couple bars before I like get just disoriented on it. But I think like yeah, just like once I had the guitar and it was something I could do more accessibly, it just became like this like obsession in a way. And like that's when I started playing it more often and getting together with friends and playing music and doing all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your first band experience like? Just like some
Uh,
friends from school?
yeah. It was a couple friends. I actually just talked to one of them recently, my friend Thomas. But like we were like a little like pop punk kind of band, and we were called Bad Haircut, and
That's appropriate. Yeah.
yeah, it was cute, and we had a lot of we had fun doing that band. And we like that band went from like the end of middle school like through most of high school, and we played a couple shows, and you know we weren't very good.
Like birthday parties, or did you book somewhere?
We booked like there was a church basement in our hometown that did shows. There was this club called Obsessions that would actually have like touring bands come through and like local bands and like I think they had DJ nights and like they would do like a bunch of other stuff. I saw actually saw like a while ago the Bled posted like a flyer from Obsessions, and it was just like all those like metalcore bands from like 2005, like rolling through there, and I was like, this is so of that era that it
Yeah.
hurts, you
Yeah.
know. But like, no, there was some music things happening. Like, we played Asbury Park once at the Saint. I don't know how I convinced like my dad to drive us down there and like play that show, but it was we did some things like we I think our last show was at Bloomfield Ave Cafe in Montclair, and uh, we kind of just quietly stopped doing that band. And then like I kind of like around that time I started getting into like you know hardcore and screamo and you know all those bands and started like playing with other people
Yeah.
and doing other things.
What band was your sort of intro to like screamo as we know it?
Um, it probably Majority Rule,
Majority Rule.
probably Majority Rule and Hot Cross. I think
Yeah.
like my girlfriend when I was 17 was like out really into Hot Cross, and we went to ABC No Rio and saw them. It
Ah, I
was
never got to see them.
yeah, it was Hot Cross and Gospel and Anodyne and Transistor. And it was like it was a really fun show, and like it was packed for ABC. Like it was good.
That's awesome. I went to a
Yeah.
Hot Cross show, and the drummer's the drummer's wife, I believe it was the situation, like had like to have like her appendix removed or something. There was like a
Oh, oh
severe
no.
emergency, and we drove like 3 hours to Louisville, and just like showed up, and they were like, no, earlier today, like they'd had to just turn it around and go home, and I was like,
That's
damn it.
that's
But
rough. I have had my appendix removed, and it is no fun.
oh, I bet it's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I I I was obsessed with that band as well. Like I'm
Mm,
especially Cryonics. Like I just the interlocking guitar work on that album. I was just like, this is bonkers. This sounds like
yeah.
two people that just holed up in a room for like a week, just like eating whatever is in the pantry and just like would not leave until their guitars were perfect. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I really like Cryonics a lot too. I find that I like it's weird. Like I really like the 10-inch, and like Cryonics was kind of my intro to that band. But like I really like the 10-inch, and I like the EP after it, and I really like the split with Holy Shroud. Like those are like my
Hmm.
like the Triforce of Hot Cross for me because I think it's like those are like those are like the perfect sets of songs for that band.
Yeah, there's
I
like
still like Cryonics. It's just like it doesn't do it for me the way those
it's
other records do.
it's a it's more it's less about the aggressive qualities and more about the like, hey, let's like see how cool we can make our guitars like
Yeah.
work together, you know.
Hmm.
But the stuff that came after, you know, the couple of LPs that came after that, I don't get into them as much. I'm obviously a huge fan of like melodic screamo. Like my bands are generally
Hmm.
speaking more melodic than most bands that are out there, you know. But like
Yeah.
um, there's you know like Risk Revival and stuff just weren't it for me. It was not the guitar stuff wasn't there. I think like one of the guitar players wasn't in the band anymore or something as
Yeah, I
well.
think
So
Josh
yeah.
left at that point. I think he recorded that record though.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but I think that the thing is like for that band specifically, it kind of depends on like when you get into that band because I've heard people be like Risk Revival is their best thing
Oh
ever.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, it's a
it's
different
like
flavor for everybody.
I think that's one of those like it's weird like introductory things to that genre of music.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's just weird. Like one of like the best memories that I have from like my like 19, 20-year old like self or whatever is like
Hmm.
just be like that's why I like click with like albums like Sirens or Cryonics so much, where it's like the guitars are just like intentionally trying to do something different from one another, and it's like really Fugazi and stuff as well, and
Yeah.
because like one of my best memories is like from my friend that I played in a band with at that time, and myself just being like writing a group of songs together and just being like, no, what I'm playing is too close to like what you're playing, and just like sitting there and
Hmm.
just like having that experience and that friendship, and then sort of like a bonding, and it was just so wonderful. And like I don't I can't like I value those kinds of experiences so much. Like, like the closest that I have now is like when Jason comes to record an album, and we sit there and we're working out the drums, and whatever, and it's like we're goofing off and we're figuring
Hmm.
stuff out. I mean, it's really, you could just say it's like being in a band is great, and I love that part of it. But
Yeah, playing music with people I've noticed is like it's kind of like its own language within itself.
mhm,
Like when you're talking to someone a certain way, it's like when they're like I'm going to play it like this, and they're like, oh well, if you're going to play it like this, I'm going to play it like this, or like I'm going to play to you in a certain way, or whichever. Like as long as you kind of make it so that you're playing together instead
mhm,
of like two people playing at the same time, almost. Like just you kind of learn to work with people. It's almost like it's a very intimate thing without being intimate at the same time.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny too. And I mean, like, I think when I was younger, like, a lot more it was a lot I had a lot stronger hold on what I thought, how things should go.
Hmm.
And it was rare when I played with people that just like I clicked with like immediately. Whereas like now I'm kind of just like, I'll put down a guitar and I'm just kind of like, you could practically do whatever the hell you want, and like like my my language, like my the way that I'll receive something is just much more broad. Like you could do about whatever you wanted, and I would probably be like, "Oh, that's cool. That's not what I was thinking like at all." But it reminds me of this other thing that I like. It wasn't the thing that I thought was gonna come my way, but like, you know, when I was younger, it was kind of, I wasn't necessarily as open. You might have had that experience as well, where you thought like, "Oh, this doesn't fit," Um,
Hmm.
so that made it feel a lot more like, you said intimate, where you're like, "Oh, this," when you really click with somebody, you're like, "Oh, this person really gets me," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also it's good to let those like happy accidents happen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, or like if you're able to listen to what they're doing and just be like, oh, like that, I wouldn't. Yeah, like you said, like I wouldn't even think to do it like that. That's really cool, or that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think like it's, I mean, I don't want to blame it all on me being younger, but it's like as you get older and you just open your mind to different like ideas or whatever, then obviously you're more receptive to that. And yeah, it makes you a better player in the long run, like no matter,
Yeah.
which way, like, but I mean, I've definitely like, I don't know, I've definitely had the experience like when I was much younger, and like it was, it was somebody that was like older than us, sort of coming in and trying to like see if they'd play with us, and being like, what if we slowed these couple songs down, and stuff like that. And you're like, slow it down, like what is wrong
Yeah.
with you,
Why would you do that
Yeah,
ever?
we don't do that. We don't do
And
that
now every
here.
person I play with, I'm like, can we play that a little bit slower?
That's
My
funny. It's
we're like our backs hurt. We're old. We can't move that fast.
I don't know. Like I said before, like that, like playing the drums as fast as I can is like my version of the like midlife crisis, like convertible. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
um playing the drums as fast as I can is like me being like, nope, I got it. I'm still good.
Yeah.
But I do take it out on like every show that we play. Jason is like, I know, a little faster, and I'm like, thank you. um,
Yes.
But yeah, it's yeah. Didn't you see the sign that says no, we don't do slower? Um,
No.
but yeah, it's it's it is wild. Like when you like, there's only been one instance when I've been like, I'll listen to an album and I'm like, wow, we were really tearing through that one. Like maybe we should have slowed it down. But yeah,
Hmm.
like
I have that with every band that I've been in that I'm like, we definitely didn't record to a click on this.
yeah. Do
you
you
know?
do you do that now?
Yeah, there's like well for the Sonagi EP that's coming out, we did record to a click, but it was kind of just it was there as kind of more of a guideline.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like such a hard and fast kind of thing because there was parts where Keon was definitely just like we kind of have to waver away from the click here, so we're
Yeah.
just gonna have to like play by feel. But for the most part, it was there just as like it's just to kind of keep us like in the correct tempo.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't understand that wavering part. Like I can either play to one and I don't enjoy it like at all. It's very nerve-wracking for me. Like I can do it. I have done it.
Hmm.
It feels sterile to me, but like a lot of people do it very well. But like that's the thing that I don't get is that like okay, well there's this part where it's going to kind of like jump tempo or drop tempo like one or the other, and like how do you reconcile that with this like like this pattern of noises that is
Hmm.
marching on like till the end of time, and
Yeah.
that's on me. I don't know, that's other people obviously do this and they manage to do that, but um
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I like I generally speaking, like when I know someone as well as I know you, not like we've seen each other every day for or at all for quite some time, but
Mm.
I usually think like, oh, I know like the bands that this person plays in, and I don't do a ton of research, right? But I
Mm.
went and I was just like, oh, let me like, I think I know about the bands that Eric's been in. Let me like make sure that I know, and I did know all the bands that I found, um, but I don't. I I know I had to have listened to something from Birth Screams before, but when I was listening to it, I didn't have like I was like, oh, this reminds me of this, and I felt like I hadn't listened to it before. I definitely remember like checking it out, but then
Oh.
when I listened to it, I was like, I didn't get any kind of like recognition like, oh, this is how I remember this being. And I was really like impressed by, the Earth Tones album. Like, and I took a lot
Thank you.
away from it. And it definitely feels like more like, uh, like I know you're a huge fan of like Torches to Rome and like Sarah Kirsch and stuff.
Yeah.
And that I heard that all over that album. I was like, yeah, this tracks. Like this makes
No.
sense.
That's awesome that you say that because I don't think Torches to Rome were on any of our radar at the time.
Oh really? Um,
Yeah, but I do love Torches to Rome and like all the Sarah Kirsch projects.
yeah. Well, I mean, were any of her bands? Were you listening to any of her bands at that time, or was it just like coincidence that
I
I?
think it might have been coincidence
Okay,
because I
not
think
even like
maybe
okay,
Evan would have listened to Please Inform the Captain at that time.
okay.
I have a feeling that record might have been around, but I can't say for sure. Um, I can ask him. I talk to him like all the time.
Hmm.
But yeah, but yeah, no, like I mean, we really were. I think mostly we were influenced by like early stuff we were doing was like very Majority Rule, and then we really loved this band called Fight Amp.
No, I saw
Um,
the I saw someone wearing the shirt in the photo. Yeah.
yeah, we really loved Fight Amp, and um, I think we were also kind of like we were. we were really young, so we were kind of finding like what worked for us and what didn't work for us. Which I think like those last three songs for the last EP that we put out was a little bit more of like kind of I think in the direction we were moving. But yeah, Earth Tones like was kind of that collection of like we all got together and wrote a bunch of songs and like some stuff appeared on earlier demos and some stuff was newer and it all just kind of fell into place that way for that record.
Like that album was like written without the like perspective of trying to like have like a sound necessarily? Was it just like songs you were writing and you didn't worry about like, oh, like we want to sound like this or whatever?
I think we definitely wanted to, like we didn't call it screamo at the time. I think we said we were experimental hardcore band, but we knew what bands we liked,
Yeah, for sure.
and I think like I don't think there was like a trajectory to be like, we're going to write like a record that sounds a specific way as much as we were like, these are songs that we wrote that we really liked and then collected them at that point. Cause we had been a band for, I think a couple of years and we were just like, oh, like here's a bunch of songs that like we wrote and kind of just put together. And that recording process was, I remember, took a really long time because we were recording with someone for, I think like for free or no money. And then like that kind of like ended abruptly from what I remember. And then we actually ended up recording with Kevin Entrezian. Like we were the first band to record at Backroom. That like when Kevin took over and like we were doing that like every day or like not every day, but we were doing that for like pretty regularly for a while until that was done. And like, I think we started in June and it ended in like the end of October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like, it was just like, it took forever to get that done. And then like by the time that came out, we were so happy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great sounding record. Like it's,
thank you.
Yeah. It, there's, I see what you're saying though, like the EP that came after it, and it is only just 3 songs, so it's easier to feel like, oh yeah, they follow a set of rules that the LP doesn't or whatever. Not saying that you had rules or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but they were definitely more cohesive.
Yeah. And the LP was just like, yeah, it was all over the place, but at the same time, like it sounded like the same band, and it sounded like y'all really knew what you're doing, which is, like to have this sort of the kind of variety that I feel like y'all had there, and then to make it all make sense and have it all sound like it's part of the same album. Also, it was really impressive, and like you said, like y'all were young, and so it's like I don't know, it's like I don't. It's weird because like I don't know any, like I feel like I don't know any better than I did like when I was younger, like about like making this stuff there, and like it's wild whenever you like find out that like Tracy Chapman was only like what, like 20, like barely 20 years old or something when Fast Car came out or something like that, and then like how old was Tom when like Saturday Night Cab Rides came out, and it's like it's wild how far instinct will take you, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and sometimes it's just like, yeah, that really worked. Like we didn't I don't know. This wasn't a plan, but this is what
Yeah,
happened.
I think there's also like a level of like at that age, like and at that time frame where we weren't so like confined to be like this has to be a screamo record and it has to sound like it's on this label, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Like I think we really loved like Majority Rule and City Caterpillar and all those Virginia bands, but like we were also like not trying to sound exactly like them at the same time. We were just like we're inspired by the bands that we really love, you know, but we're not like we're just trying to do our own thing and kind of like it's almost more like we were kind of bumping around almost trying to find like what we thought sounded cool and like kind of like what other bands were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, another band that we were really influenced by was this band called Contra, which is Adam from Stress Spells and Off
Mm-hmm.
Camber and Bury Yourself and like a bunch of New Jersey bands. Like that was his band before all those bands.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was like they were like our local heroes basically, and they were kind of like a screamo band before like around that time where no one really like were like these are screamo bands, like they're the hardcore bands in this scene. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like we were really heavily influenced by them. I actually have a Contra tattoo.
Oh wow. So by the
Yeah.
time you got in Bury Yourself, you're like face to face with was that weird?
Well, it was intimidating in a way because like
Cuz he shreds.
oh yeah, Adam is an incredible guitar player. Like if you just watch him for like 5 minutes, you're just like this. How is he doing that?
Yeah.
Like, like the
Dizzying.
the left hand dexterity alone is insane.
Yeah.
Like I mean like at first I was very like the thing about Adam that's amazing is like he's aware of how like kind of expert level he is as a musician, but he has like the patience and the like the self-awareness to be like, well, not everyone's at the speed and this is for fun.
Mm-hmm.
So like he will play a part for you like 1,000 times until you're good and be completely patient and be like super fun about the entire thing and not rush you and like be like, I can simplify things. I can like he's willing to like make changes just so like we can all together play the part, or
Yeah, and
play like
enjoy this.
or yeah, exactly. And like I mean there was times where he was like, okay, like this is even kind of hard for me, so like just like don't rush it, just like let's just figure it out. And like but playing in that band was a dream. Like I love all those people and we had so much fun. Like it was hard to have band practice because we wouldn't like see each other that often. We'd only see each other like once a week, so we would like all want to catch up and we'd literally just want to talk for an hour and then we'd be like, oh, we have to learn this song that's like super hard. So it would sometimes it would be like, oh shit, we gotta make sure we're getting this done. But we got yeah, like it. I love those people. They're all wonderful.
Yeah, it's a shame that that band didn't get to do some more songs, but the thing that y'all put out was great. Um, we we're kind of deep into the conversation now, and we still got to get to like how you ended up in Philly and in Sonagi and everything. But obviously you did some tours and did an album with The Saddest Landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we met when you were in Capacities, and then Capacities sort of, you and Tom ran from there to start One of Us, and
Mm-hmm.
then before you moved to Philly, you were in Burial Dance. So that sort of like brings you to the point where you're moving to Philly. Was it just like what was the impetus to finally like take off out of Jersey and move to Philly? I mean, like obviously, Philly's like a ridiculous spot for music right now. Like I think I'll go on record and say that I think that the sort of the like two of the most important bands that are out there right now, Soul Glow and Here's, like are from Philly, and that blows my mind, right? Like just like like they're just like from the same city and they're pals, and I think that they are two of the most original and important things going on right now musically. So that's just like, yeah, I don't know. There's like, what other city can hold a candle to that? But
Yeah.
like, is that is that part of the reason? What you were just like, there's just a really vibrant music thing going on, and Jersey is all about doing like hour commutes, like this way or the other, to just play with people, or
Well, my partner at the time was like, I want to move down here um, because like COVID hit, and they were like, I want to like it's not really worth living up in Jersey and like going to New York when everything shut down. So we decided to move to Philly because they had lived here for a while, and we moved down here, and it's like it's just always been good for shows too. So like I was told like like you'll be able to play with people down here if you want. Like there's no shortage of people playing music. So I was like okay, like that'll be fun. So I'm now I'm in two bands that are doing stuff constantly, and I'm like constantly looking at my calendar, being like, which band is playing what show, what day. So like I do get kind of busy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I I almost forgot that you were in two bands, and we were because we got on the schedule to talk about Sonagi, and
Mhm.
I always I forgot, even though like when I was talking to Richie, we talked all about that, um, but yeah, like did you did you like take a break from music to sort of like get used to, and then all of a sudden you're just like in two bands, or like you could like did you just not prioritize it right away, or
Yeah, I was kind of taking a break. It wasn't really working out with me moving down here and being a burial dance. So like that ended up not working out. But then I just kind of like I took about a year off from playing music, and then Sonagi was looking for another guitar player. Like they had recorded their record, and like around that time they were like getting ready to go on tour and stuff like that, and they were like, "Well, you live here now. Do you want to join the band?" And I tried out and I learned stuff, and like it worked out. That first tour was really fun, and then at one point, like a year after that, Richie was like, um, "Hey, do you know anyone who could like fill in?" And I'm like, "Why don't you just ask me, dude? Like, just like, just like we know where this is going. Just ask me to fill in for Lástima because their old guitar player Kevin, I believe his job was like taking up a lot of time, and like he couldn't really commit to it because he was also in another band too, and he was like, it was just too much for him. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So do you have like recordings coming out with both bands soon?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so, but
Yeah.
the Lastima album is like a little further away.
Yeah. I think Lástima doesn't have like a hard date for when the record's coming out, but it is like it's in the process of like being mixed. I think it's almost done. I'm only on a couple songs because I didn't have the opportunity to learn all of them. So like I'm on like I think two or three songs on that record.
Hmm.
Although I've like since learned all the songs except for one, and I've like asked Richie, I'm like, do you want me to go back in and record? And he was like, he was like, no. But then like he'll talk about it and he'll be like, oh, maybe we do that. And so
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but
yeah,
um, yeah, I'm only on a few songs on that record, but it will be out hopefully early next year.
yeah.
I'm not exactly sure if they have a full on like time frame in mind, but yeah, and the Sonagi EP that we recorded is due out um, in August.
Did y'all go out to California to record that, or am I thinking of something else?
Uh, no, we recorded with Steve Roche for
Oh, I don't know
Sonagi.
why I thought like I don't know. I don't know who I'm thinking of.
Mm.
I'm trying to like now I'm trying to put that together. I don't know. And why did I think that? I
Mm.
like I don't know.
We are going out to California in July though.
Okay, okay. I'm
Yeah.
just getting like a bunch of details all like slopped together. Um, so yeah, recording with Steve Roach. Well, I mean, if it's not broke, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
why not record with Steve? It's perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
like, he somehow only keeps getting better at what he's doing as well. But it's ridiculous. What's the release plan for that? Is it coming out on Get Better, or is there something else going on? Or
So we'll be putting this out on Secret Voice.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and Ryan's been doing the majority of the like handling with label stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's really exciting for us to be on Secret Voice and to kind of be in conjunction with Death Wish. And I haven't like talked to anyone at the label, but Ryan's been saying that they've been super helpful and super nice, and it's been nothing but easy to work with. So that's super exciting for us, like to have like
Is it like a one-sided
to be under that
12-inch
banner.
or?
It's going to be a 7-inch.
Oh, okay, 7-inch.
Yeah,
Bold.
I know, right?
Bold move,
In
doing a
2024 to
7-inch,
put out
yeah.
a 7-inch. Yeah,
I want to do one
Yeah,
so bad, just because like I feel like I'm a masochist. I'm like, it's a bad idea, and I haven't done a 7-inch since like. I mean, we've been on like a comp or whatever, like Larry Records did that comp that we have a song on, but like
yeah.
we haven't been on a 7-inch, I think, since our split with Dreafen, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great split.
Oh, thank you. And it's just like, dang, I kind of want to do a 7-inch, but like, it's such a bad idea. And we have like
I have like a pile of your stuff over. Like I'm actually looking at it right now. I can see it from where I'm sitting.
there's the chunk of Como Reggae 7-inches. Oh, it's just like, yeah, we even have like we have a new thing that's like 13 minutes worth of music, and I'm just like sitting here like, you could put that on a 7-inch. Yeah. What a terrible idea.
Yeah. I think the only idea that would be worse than putting out a 7-inch in 2024 is putting out a 10-inch.
Yeah, it's see, the thing is, what's so weird about 10 inches is like it
They're
shouldn't.
just expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if you go the right route, it's the same price as a 12-inch, right? And of course, because it's 2 less inches, people think like, well, I'm getting less music, so it shouldn't cost what a 12-inch costs. So that's why, generally speaking, people are just like, you might as well just do it on a 12-inch, even if it's only a 10 inches worth of material. And like, that makes sense, and that's why we saw like such a boom at one point with like one-sided 12 inches, because people were just like, then you can do the B-side with a print or something, and it'll make the package more cool and aesthetically pleasing, and everybody wins, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, it is weird though, like it just from a like the standpoint of like the exact same thing on 12-inch versus on 10-inch, like exact same music on either thing, you are going to sell that 12-inch like probably 2.5 times more, like just by default. And it's like, I don't know why that is. 10-inch is my favorite format, honestly, but
mine too. That's why the capacities 10-inch happened, because I really pushed for it.
Yeah, well, that's a great 10-inch too.
Thank you. That's my favorite one that we've done.
And it's it follows another classic like underutilized sort of thing that I'm a fan of, which is the bulk of the material on one side being like a certain thing, and then one song on the other side that's like sort of an outlier, because that's what we did with There's Still Time, where it's like it's like your whole Clarity album on one side, and then Goodbye Sky Harbor on the B side, right? It's like
Yes.
and I love that so much. And Yeah, it's a great 10-inch.
Yeah. That was Tom's idea. He walked into practice one day and was like, "I want to do just like a 5 or 6 minute long instrumental song, and we'll just put it on the B side of the next thing we do."
And boom, there it
Yep,
was.
that was.
That's awesome.
hmm
So yeah, like, uh, what what's the experience been like as far as like not to talk business or whatever, but
hmm
like as far as like doing a 7-inch, like what's the time frame been like since like okay, because like doing an LP, it seems like when you're done, it's still going to be a year and a half before the thing comes out. So like when did y'all wrap the recording, and then like this is coming like relatively soon at this point. So like
Um,
how fast has this whole thing been?
well, it's been like a year-long process actually, like
Yeah.
from like recording to we got test presses like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was a whole thing too for us because no one had like a good record player.
Oh
Everyone
no.
like yeah, so like I got my copy and Steve got a copy. I live at Steve's house now actually. But so like Ryan came over and we put it on Steve's player and I was like this sounds fine because they brought it to Keon's house and like it was like pitched up and they're like this sounds too fast, like something doesn't sound right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's like that's like a belt thing
yeah.
with the players. It's like that actually happened to me once. I was
hmm
like playing this test and I was like, "Oh no, there's something wrong with this." And the studio that I like mastered it at in town was that it's that studio Sonic Iguana, which is like famous for pop punk albums, like
hmm
literally like Green Day albums and stuff were like
Oh really?
mixed and mastered there. And it's the guy that was in that band the Squirt Gun. It's his studio, Master
Oh, okay.
Giorgini, and he produced like a tons of Lookout Records albums and stuff back in the day. Well, his studio is actually like it was like 2 blocks from my old house, and we mastered this record there. I get it. I get the test press. I'm like, there's something wrong with it. This sounds weird. I call over there
hmm
and I was like, what's going on with this test? And the guy who mastered it for us was like, well, I'm up here right now, so like, and I don't have like anyone coming in till this time, so just bring the record up here. And we went up there, and I was like, yeah, I don't get it. Like this sounds fine, but it didn't sound this way at my house. And that's when he was like, yeah, you probably, like for some reason, when these bands in these, like you would think that when they stretch, that it makes them sound the it makes the album sound slower, but it's like the opposite. When these bands stretch or whatever, it makes them it's like gets an Alvin and Chipmunks thing happening or
Yeah,
whatever,
it does.
And and yeah, I was so freaked out because I was like, it was the first time that ever happened, and I was like, oh, we're gonna have to. But yeah, it was just something, but
Yeah.
it's like every record that I listened to on that record player after that, then I'm like, wait, this is like a little too fast and a little too like high. Like I wonder, and I'd have to go back and like that was a very long time ago, so it wasn't just like listen to something on Spotify or YouTube or whatever to hear the
To match it.
difference. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like you had to have like it on CD or whatever to, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
my player has like a pitch adjustment. I just don't have it hooked up. And like I'm like, well, like there was a whole like in the group chat, it was like a whole like panic. And I'm like, and Ryan got Jeremy at Secret Voice to like listen to it also and
mhm.
like play it back and forth between his phone and the record player and took a video of it.
Yeah,
And it was like it just got to this point. I was like, if Jeremy's approving it, it's probably fine. And like everyone was still like panicking. Then finally Ryan brought the record over and played it on Steve's player, and I'm like, it's fine. Yeah, I was like, if he's saying it's fine, like it's probably fine.
if Jeremy says it's fine, then we just have to tune our guitars up like a quarter step,
Exactly.
and we all have to play it a little bit faster from now on.
Yeah.
It's not that
We are no longer tuning to 440.
I try to keep these conversations to about an hour, and we got maybe 15 minutes around there left of this hour, and
Okay.
I have written really big at the bottom here something that I wanted to get to,
Okay.
and it is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay. I had a feeling this was coming.
you knew it was coming, huh?
I had a
Okay,
feeling. Yeah.
so, right. Last Ronin. Did you get to read it? Did you finally get
Yes.
around to it? Yeah. What did you
Yeah, I
think
did
of
read
that?
it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I think there was definitely a point where, like, I know it had like a delayed production
Yeah.
at one point where, like, I think it's like 5 issues, and like 1, 2, and 3 came out, and then I think like 4 and 5 took like an extra like 6 months to come out or something. I forget what it was, but like there's definitely a point where they're like that happens in all comic book writing when there's like a gap like that where people kind of forget what's happening, and then
Sure.
like because I think like the Heroku like bad guy stuff kind of gets like cut a little bit short, because I think like, there was a point where they were just like, what were they doing? What were we doing with him again? But overall though, like, no, it was great. I'm like kind of like I'm glad to see like Eastman and Laird on something. Because like Kevin Eastman has been so like involved, and Laird has kind of been like sporadically like I'll be here and there since he sold the franchise like whatever amount of time ago that was, but like it was really good. I think like as like a Dark Knight Returns style story for Ninja Turtles, I thought it was like really appropriate, and it's really sad at times, and really maintains that like it's very much like Ninja Turtles are very much like an X-Men kind of thing, where it's like what it's like to be a mutant, and like like different from other people, and everything. So it still follows that very tightly knit family kind of like theme, and it's super good. I thought it was great. Yeah.
I did not expect to be emotionally involved with a Ninja Turtles comic like last year or whatever. But I was like, here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I can't remember. Like I heard about it, and the first printing of the first issue went so fast. I had to wait for the second printing on that one anyway. So like, I heard about it like just a little late. So yeah, the first bit of it seemed to come out, on a clip, and then it was just like, I don't remember, but it was like I sort of like stopped, like not caring, but like stopped like waiting for it or whatever, and then it was just like, oh, okay, it's it's out now. But have you followed that last Ronin story, like past that initial thing, like with the new Turtles or whatever?
I haven't. I'm still kind of playing catch up with like the IDW stuff. And like there's a lot of like I kind of have been meaning to like I have a lot of the single issues from the Mirage run from volume 1, and like there's like a whole like guest series that I've been meaning to like get through also. It's just like there's so much stuff that like there's so much like content that's like available that I'm like kind of like, oh, do I read this one, or do I go back and do this, or do I watch this like show that I haven't gotten through yet, or like whatever. So it's like there's so much that I'm kind of like sometimes I'm just gonna turn on the first movie and be happy about that, because like this is like the the best thing ever. So
yeah. I really thought that the what I can't remember what it's called, but the first issue, there was like a Zero issue, I guess, but I didn't catch that. But the first issue of the new series, which is like the the new Turtles, and
Hmm.
I thought it was really cool. And they, it's more leaning on like they're gonna find out that they have like preternatural, like they're gonna have like actual powers of some kind, and so I
Yeah,
thought that was kind of interesting as well. Like
that'll be fun.
yeah, one of them just like I don't know, I don't want to spoil it, but like something happens and they're like they think that one of them's dead, but then they're like, oh no, they must have activated some kind of ability or whatever.
Yeah, some healing factor or something.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it seems really cool. And then like you were mentioning the IDW series, like a buddy of mine who used to play in this band called Baxter Kid Disaster that Akamili used to play all kinds of shows with, was drawing that IDW series right before, like, because there's a relaunch coming and whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is really awesome. Like, his name's Gavin Smith, and he lives down in Indy, and he's been working, doing like lots of independent series and stuff, and then he got a break on that Ninja Turtles, where he was drawing the series that Sophie Campbell was writing,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, what's I don't know what I know he's still doing like turtle stuff. He's still involved, but I don't know what what that's gonna look like when the relaunch. Are you excited at all about that? Like, are you familiar with Jason Aaron at all?
Not really,
Okay.
but like I mean, like I saw it's happening, and I'm like not very far. I think I'm like issue like 40, maybe like 45 of the original run. Not even maybe even less. I was like reading it online, so I'm still like I said, I'm still catching up. But like I think like yeah, they reached like what like 100
Oh
issues, and they were
yeah,
just like
yeah. It was
we're gonna relaunch the series, which is like that's fair. Like there's only like so many stories you can tell with a singular narrative for like X amount of time, and then just be like move on. Which I
yeah.
think like I'm actually like I'm on season 4 of the 2012 series because I put it off for so long. I was like I wasn't really turned on. I was really turned off by the animation at first, and I was like, oh, whatever. But then I started watching it, and I'm like, oh, this actually like the storylines on this are really good, and like the homages to like certain movies are incredible. Like I think there's one from season 3 where they're just like, this is just straight up The Thing, like
Mm-hmm.
the John Carpenter movie, and I was like, this is incredible. Like it's so good. Like it just made me so happy, and I'm like I don't know, like you kind of like throw yourself into that for a while, and then there's so much. Like I said, there's so much.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's I think that I don't I don't know like if I'm reading this right, but I think that Jason Aaron is really trying to do a sort of back to the original sort of gritty, almost like Sin City ish,
Hmm.
like first bit of the comics. But I mean, we'll see. It could be fun. Are you talking about the series that was that on Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the 3D
Uh
animated
huh.
series with like is there anyone like in it that I can no I mean like yeah like they're it's just like yeah it was like when Nickelodeon bought the franchise and like they were like we're gonna make a new series like it's that one.
Yeah, I'll have to check that
Yeah.
out. I haven't been um I haven't been like watching stuff like that too much. I try to get my kids interested in something and it'll last for a minute and then it's just like,
Hmm.
no, I don't want to do this. Like they
Yeah.
were they were into the original X-Men cartoon, like, and we watched like at all the seasons of them, like
Nice.
we not binged, but like we watched like a few episodes every day for until we were done.
Mhm.
That was like when they announced X-Men 97 and then like X-Men 97 and they were like, "Oh, I'm so hyped for X-Men 97." Then when X-Men 97 came out, by that time like they're like, "Yeah, I could care less." It's like, dang it.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a cool thing that we were all going to do together, but eh,
Yeah. Maybe try
that's
and rope them into Ninja Turtles. That could be fun.
yeah, for sure. I'll
Yeah.
see if I can do it. It's yeah, I don't know. It's like right now their thing is Dragon Ball Z, so I was like, "Oh, I got to make a bootleg Dragon Ball Z zine like as soon as possible while they still
Nice.
care."
Yeah.
Um but yeah, that's what my life has been like for the past like however long. It's just like I'm trying to do something that makes my kid think I'm cool again. But yeah. So shout out once again, mentioning
Mhm.
Larry Records for that comp that we were on that had the Dragon Ball Z characters versions of themselves on the cover because my 13-year-old thought that was really cool. I was like,
That's awesome.
he was like, not gonna lie, that's pretty sick. I was like, okay, thanks for not lying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just the way life is at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were talking earlier about you got to keep a calendar and it's hard to keep things straight. So like, do you have shows for like pretty much both bands coming up that you want to put out there, or like what does the calendar look like for you coming up as far as music stuff goes?
I think when this airs at the end of June, there's Lástima is playing with Pyre and Gray and this band called Satone from I'm probably mispronouncing that from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be in Philadelphia, and then from July 5th to the 13th, Sonagi's gonna be on the West Coast. We're touring down California, and
Okay.
having gonna have a really fun time doing that.
Are y'all touring with a band while you're out there? Or?
I think we're going to do it mostly by ourselves. We were trying to do it with this band called Mao from out there, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that they're going to be able to do most of the dates. But I think we're playing at least one show with Quiet Fear, and we're playing a couple fests. I think we're playing. They got announced yesterday that we're playing one of the fests with Frail Body out there,
Okay.
so that'll be really fun.
And then the other, you're playing the California Kicks, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. I can remember for sure. It was like
Mhm.
every, you know, I, it was like every band that's like, it was like Usurp and Jerome's Dream and like, you know,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, that sounds like it's gonna be a good time. So is it just like how are y'all flying your gear out there? You're renting like a whole setup? Like how did the technicalities work out?
I think we're borrowing a backline every night, but
Okay.
I have like I tell everyone now that I'm on my old man shit
You
with
got a quilter?
gear. I don't have a quilter.
Okay.
Hareem just got a quilter in the mail. We're gonna have practice tomorrow, and they'll have their quilter, and like they're gonna get to try it out. And I'm excited to hear it. But I bought a Victory amps. Um, it's a V4 Sheriff model. It's a Class D power amp with a like a mini tube preamp in it,
Okay.
and it's a very cool, like it's meant to be a pedal that's also an amp, and
Oh.
it has like the two notes technology in it, so I can run like a cab IR if I want to. It has like presets on it. It's got like an FX loop and like all this other stuff, but it's voiced to be like either like it has two channels. It can either be voiced kind of like a vintage Marshall or like a hot rodded Marshall, which is kind of like the sound that I always kind of go for. And then I built like a mini board, so like I'm going to be able to like just take everything on a plane very very easily and just fly out there and just borrow a cab. Or if like we're playing a club and I don't have a cab, I can literally take a line out of the back of the amp, and like I'll be totally fine. Like we did last time we played in Montreal last weekend, and I didn't have to, but I almost did have to take a line out because one of the cabs that was on stage broke. But we were playing with Spire, so of course there's three guitar cabs, so I
Yeah.
was able to
Yeah.
just be like, oh, I'll just use this other one.
Yeah.
So, but like it, it was on the other side of the stage, so I was just going straight through the monitor, but I could hear myself fine. And everyone I've talked to has been like, sounds great. So I'm like, perfect. Like,
That's wild. And also,
yeah.
you get to say there's a new sheriff in town every time you put it
Eh,
down. So, so there's that.
yes, exactly.
Right. Well, that sounds awesome. I hope that y'all have a great time out there. Where where should people find out about these shows and stuff? Just at the Sonagi Instagram.
Yeah, it's sonagi.phl.
And that was my conversation with Eric Mauro. Thank you so much, Eric, for taking the time to chat with me. Make sure y'all check out Sonagi's new record when it comes out on Secret Voice, and check them out on tour. Until next time, take care and do good things.